tremendously humble, and I'm glad that you join all the other programs as well. Some of y'all are program hoppers, Y'all and Randy, and then y'all jump over to correct the program. Then y'all come in the ring, and then y'all gone some other places, right? We hope that y'all don't get, program STDs. Y'all jump into, but we're happy. We feel the love, folks. We feel the love, and if I can say it for correct as well, we feel the love from you guys, and we're happy that you guys invest in these programs in the way that you. Thanks for joining us. Let's get to the hot topic since we have such a packed panel this evening. Guys, welcome again. Welcome again in the ring. And let's head to our hot topics this evening. As we said, lots to talk about in education this evening specifically, guys. Lots to talk about in education. I would advise you all, get your popcorn and get your Coke. Your Cokes. Your popcorns and your Cokes. Because it can be a wild ride, right? I would suggest you all put your trays in an upright position, put your seats in an upright position, and put on your seat belts. It's going to be a bumpy ride, folks, because this evening, based on all that we have seen today and leading up to today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to unplug on some people. A good night to all except Priya Manik Chan. Let me say it early. A good night to all except Priya Manik Chan. A good night to all except Priya Manik Chan. There's trouble in education tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Trouble in education. And let's get through some of these hot topics before we invite our guests to come and to give context and elucidation to these many issues. It's pocketory. Pocketoryism. Every goddamn day in this country, with these crosses, with the trenchies, the trench crappos, the Nakavakamites, every day is problems untold for Guyanese. Trump left America and like he here. Every day is chaos and confusion. Chaos. It's chaotic. And it gone past chaotic. It's chaotic. It's serious. It's chaotic. Pocketory. It's mind-boggling. The absence of an education policy that deals with COVID-19. So many people are worried. So many parents are worried. And when you look at them operate, ladies and gentlemen, you know definitively the PPP come back. The PPP come back. When you see the corruption and the thieving of monies, when you see the incoherent, ad hoc, haphazard policies, you know the PPP come back. Oh, they had lots of mouth. They got manifesto, they got this, they got that, and they can lead. Oh, but there's been an absence of leadership. And where it has appeared in smidgems, canchy bits. Oh, it's been such a failure. Right? It has been such a failure. What did the woman say about the small parties having the SOPs? Oh, they have a smattering of SOPs. That's what you have with leadership here. And where you have a smattering of leadership, you had a total failure. Total failure. So if anything that evidence the PPP come back, oh God, look at education. Chaos and confusion from start to finish. And we invite you guys to share the live stream. Roger Norris, Colette Crowell, Yvonne Rodriguez, Samantha Jilks, Sharon Shepard, wherever you guys are joining us from in the world. June Cameron, Karen, welcome. Karen, welcome. Patricia Amsterdam, and Freddie James as well. Marsha Glasgow, Esri Duke. All of you lovely folks. Elcock. Is it Chioma? Is Empress Gordon? All of you guys, we invite you to share the live stream. We realize some of you are getting complacent and as resolute as this install administration is to do nonsense, y'all have got to be equally resolute. And we've been asking you guys to share the live stream. And of recent, we've been asking you guys to support us in a tangible way so that we can expand our program, deepen what we do here to your benefit. And so the PPP come back. Ladies and gentlemen, the PPP come back. This is what the install hypocrite Priya Manikchan said just today. The hypocrite, the Jebusite, the Nakavakamite, the cross. Here is what she said, the installed Minister of Education. Oh, y'all children want to take the vaccine? Well, y'all homeschool them yourself. You heard me correctly. Trouble in education. This is what the woman said. Y'all don't want to take vaccine? That's your business. Y'all got to homeschool y'all picnic. Yep. A feral blast to the parents of this country who got concerns about their children taking the vaccine. Legitimate concerns about their children taking the vaccines. Parents are approaching teachers, but the teachers don't have the answers. They aren't the COVID specialists. They are the health professionals. And to date, I have not heard the installed minister, nor have I heard the installed Minister of Health try to elucidate in any meaningful way, in any coherent way, what these vaccines mean to parents and to teachers. I haven't heard that. And so Priya, she says, parents who opt not to send their children to school when classes resume on September 6th can do homeschooling of their children themselves. It means that they ain't got time from that period on with Zoom and all of that. They're done with that. Come back to school or you're at your own peril. Homeschool your children. We think we there here for work through these nuanced, difficult issues that is at the heart and crux of leadership. No. We ain't got time with that. We don't have time with that. Y'all don't want to take vaccine, homeschool y'all damn children. Priya Manikchan. Again, we say to you that the policy, if there is any, it is so ad hoc, incoherent, and haphazard. Right? And just to give you guys a sense of that, look what was in Chronicle recently. Children going back to school. This is the fraudulent installed Minister of Health. Children going back to school must be fully vaccinated. Must be fully vaccinated. This is what he said. Children going back to school. Folks, there is trouble in education tonight. And if you guys can sense the moment, I feel there's a bubbling up of something that has been deep and buried in our society. And we are heading to something. So I want them to continue. The installed Minister of Health, this is what he said. Children going back to school must be fully vaccinated. Must be fully vaccinated. All of a sudden, you know what the man say? You know what Priya say? Oh, you don't have to be fully vaccinated as a child to come back to school. So what is it? You understand why parents are confused. Because there are so many different policies that are operating in this one administration. Priya said it is not mandatory for children to be vaccinated. So Frank saying it is mandatory. Priya said it's not mandatory. But by the same token, if you don't want your children to be vaccinated, then you have to homeschool them. You all see the confusion powder? You all see the purgatory? It's one administration, you know. And as a small man said, everybody in this government, ministers seem to be doing whatever they want to do. One HL said people coming into the country must be vaccinated. Frank Anthony said no. You only need one vaccine. Then he turned back and said, no, you can be vaccinated here. It's purgatory and madness. How else do you explain it? George David, Volmay Wilson, Olive Phillips, Roy Gokul. It is madness. Deborah Simon. I hope you're all sharing the live stream. And while all of that is happening, while we're trying to get a handle on where we are on COVID-19, and especially in relation to education in our country, here is what that installed Minister of Health is saying. For the longest while, infectious variant is likely already in Guyana. It's about 2 or 3 months he's saying this. But this government ain't doing tests anymore to find out for once and for all if these variants are here or they aren't here. We ain't doing no tests anymore, people. Looking for these variants. So while we're grappling with COVID-19 and the worst pandemic of any generation, the minister don't seem to know what he is about. Let me bring this in closer for you. Doesn't seem to know what he is about. He said it is likely. Dr. Carissa Etienne from PAHO said months ago, and I've rehearsed this for you several times, that the variants were operating here. He said he didn't know. He wasn't informed of that, and he wanted a report from them. Like he didn't get it yet. And even in the absence of that, you mean to say we aren't doing any independent research and testing? That months after we heard about these variants operating here and that they're operating under the impression as though the variants are here, still nothing definitive? A couple days before school reopens on September 6th, still nothing definitive, and you're running a whole government? You must be crazy. Or as the Americans say, you must be capping. Your guts to be capping. Right? You're gonna be capping. So let me walk you guys through a couple more issues here quickly. So while that is happening, I know Coretta is lit and ready to go. Let's get through some of these topics before we get our guest in the studio. This was today. I was made to understand they took children to the Cheddi Jagan International Airport. The Cheddi Jagan International Airport to receive the vaccines on spot. They were going to receive their jabs, according to one report, on spot. So this government is in PR stunts, playing PR stunts with our children. Folks, and I encourage you guys to share the live stream. They are playing PR stunts with our children. I saw one report where they're boasting that, over 70,000 children got to be vaccinated with this Pfizer vaccine. And then another report they're boasting, 4,000 consents they have received already. Mind you, today is what? The 23rd, the 24th, and school opening round the corner. Am I off? Today's the 24th. We got a couple days more. You want to vaccinate 70,000 children. All right? And look at the 9th hour. This government got any plan? You got a sense that they got any plan? Every day, Frank Anthony comes up with something new. This morning I saw, we'll have COVID cards looking similar to your bank card. A little plastic card. There is no overarching policy that sets out any of this. They watch little CNN, they watch what somebody doing in some other country, and then they come to experiment. As a matter of fact, the report about the children going to Cheddi Jagan International to receive their jabs, said that they were part of a pilot a pilot program, so they're guinea pigs. The ministry is piloting this with these children, so they're guinea pigs. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, that being said, Ministry of Education, among other places, locking out staff who aren't vaccinated. As a matter of fact, this fraudulent install administration says it has no mandatory policy, yet it continues to deny entry into lots of ministries for persons who aren't vaccinated. And today, the Ministry of Education itself saw several education officers being marched out of the ministry in handcuffs, all because they were trying to exercise their constitutional right not to leave. And so they were promptly being marched out of the Ministry of Education. It seems funny that one day nurses were heroes on the front line and teachers were heroes on the front line, going above and beyond, unvaccinated, for this administration. And look how we're treating them like dogs. Look how we are treating them like dogs. And I'm going to ask the General Secretary for the Ghana Teachers Union her impression of that. But the small man, not the ministers, not rich people, you and I, they have been asking several questions about this whole policy and going back to school, because so much remains shrouded, so much remains unclear, and the rest are just making up as they go along. So parents have been messaging and calling to get accurate information as to what will happen to parents whose children, who have not consented rather, to their children being vaccinated. What becomes of them? Well, I think the ministers answered that. Y'all homeschool y'all own children. We ain't got time with that. Right? Parents have been wondering if they can come to school with masks and sanitizers, along with observing the COVID-19 protocols like hand washing and social distancing. Or parents have been asking also if there are online classes as an alternative option. Right? As well, if all students have to return to school on September 6th, or if it's only 4th and 6th formers at the secondary level, and what about the grade 5 and 6 at the primary level? So there's a lot of confusion, and rightly so, because again, it's a very ad hoc, badly thrown together, haphazard, hear-em, scare-em policy on COVID-19. And to help us walk through some of that, I want to welcome the General Secretary of the Ghana Teachers Union, the one and only Coretta MacDonald, the Honorable Member of Parliament. Coretta, very good evening and welcome in the ring.
Hi, Sherrod. Good night to you and good night to your viewers out there.
Coretta, go right ahead, Coretta. Sorry about that.
Yes, good night to you and good night to your viewers out there. And thanks again for having me on In the Ring. I'd be very happy if one of these nights you can invite Auntie Priya to be in the ring too. It's quite interesting. And when you're in the ring, blows the share, left, right, all over.
Oh, so, yes. Well, you know when blows start cheering, some people start hollering, rip, rip.
Give her the props and prepare her and let her know that she can come in the ring at any time. But Sherrod, on a serious note, coming from the GTU standpoint, we have been asking the Ministry of Education, what form of reopening, if there is going to be a reopening, what form is it going to be having this time around? To date, we have not gotten an answer. What we have seen the Ministry of Education doing, they have sent out survey sheets to head teachers all across this country with two options. One, full reopening face-to-face, and two, reopening for the exams classes and virtual for the other classes. I think there might have been a third option which speaks to rotation. But many of our head teachers have said, look, we prefer to have our examination classes in school face-to-face, and the others are going to work virtually. They're going to work online. I saw the Minister of Education last week, that same fraudulent minister, the same minister that shouted for rape, the same minister who put the fine cussing on the American ambassador on the eve of their independence, that same girl. I saw her talking about individualized reopening approach. I've never heard that, and I was wondering what really are we talking about? This is the education ministry, and you're telling schools, you're telling this nation that the reopening of schools will be an individualized approach. Well, right there we know is more madness. In a swing, we got Priya saying now schools are going to be fully reopened on September 6th. And those who don't like it, if your children didn't get vaccines, keep them at home and teach them yourself. Now, sometimes you wonder, these are the people who were crying out for democracy a couple of months ago, you know.
Yes, yeah.
These are the people who were shouting because we care just a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
These were the people who were telling parents that the David Granger administration don't care about y'all because they take away the grants, the school grants. She did not remember, though, that the same David Granger's administration instituted the 5B plan. And that plan was a plan that was hitched from long, and we had smooth flow. Not the craziness that we're having here, where you have
confusion powder.
Confusion powder, all right. Not the confusion powder that we're having now, where some people will do what they feel like doing. Some people will do what they don't feel like doing. Some people might want to copy what they see, some who doing and some not doing. Some people might want to copy that and do. We've heard the same girl Priya talking about some of the hinterland communities, some of the Amerindian settlements, that they've closed their settlements and everybody there is safe. And so schools will reopen fully, face-to-face school. I don't know what is happening in the education system. We have gone from bad to worse.
Yeah.
Worse to worse.
Yeah.
And it's only God who can come and help us out of this. More than that, Sherrod, I'm sure by now you would have seen a statement coming from the Guyana Teachers Union, where we had meetings with the Ministry of Education, because like everything else, we are genuine partners. The Guyana Teachers Union, we are genuine partners. And we want to fix all the cracks and all the confusion powder that in the education system. We want to help to mop it out. And so we've gone in there trying to make things work. Now, we sat with the Ministry of Education on Friday at a meeting, maybe for 2 hours, or might have been a little less than that, working out the strategies, because we said to the minister at a meeting prior, our teachers and our charges, who are the children, will not be returning to school unless we're absolutely sure that proper systems are in place. And when we talk about proper systems here, we're talking about enough wash draft, enough hand sanitizers, enough thermometers to be testing temperature, you have enough detergents, you have everything, the classroom spacing and all of that, it's intact with when we consider the 6 feet apart. We sat with them and we outlined that to them. We also said to them, every child and teacher must have a care package. There must be sick bays in schools. There must be a holding area. We must have on alert at all times the hospitals. Now we sat there and we continue to say, look, we're going to repeat just what we did last year. We're going to have the GTU personnel all across this country, our general council reps and other executive members from the branches. And let me say, we have 42 branches across this country, across the length and breadth of this country. And so we have teachers in every little turn. And so we said to them, our reps are going to work with the ministry officials. We prepared a long checklist with about 30, I think it's about 24 to 30 issues. Adequate, not there at all. And then you have remarks section where you can write whatever else you see there that is lacking. Mm-hmm. Now on Sunday, we had another meeting with the Ministry of Education. and we went through this checklist. Started that event on Monday with our reps all across this country. No talk about school being reopened, but lo and behold, on Monday, and this is how deceitful this regime is. This is how deceitful Priya is. This is how scampish she is, and ungrateful. Lo and behold, yesterday afternoon, somewhere around, I think 4:30 or somewhere there, we saw a statement being released by the Ministry of Education. And we're saying at least common courtesy, but I recognize that is a thing of the past when it comes to the People's Progressive Party corruption, because I saw a man saying the C is for countrywide corruption. So when it comes to the PPP, there's nothing like diplomacy, there's nothing like courtesy. And so we saw that statement on Facebook. I mean, as partners, we started a project, an event yesterday. You couldn't call us to say, well, here, I'm making an announcement. No, we saw it on Facebook. And of course, we responded to it. And we have withdrawn every single member that we had on the team. We have withdrawn them.
As a matter of fact,
let the ministry go and do what they have to do.
Part of the headline read that the Guyana Teachers Union says it withdraws with immediate effect its participation from the present assessment of schools and all other planned engagements with the Ministry of Education until the vaccination directive is reversed.
Yes, and that came out of the press release that we saw from the Ministry of Education saying that all teachers have got to be vaccinated. Now, you know what is the hypocrisy in this whole thing is? Teachers unvaccinated took the students through to CXC and CAPE, worked their hearts out among all the challenges. Teachers took the grade 6 to national grade 6 exams unvaccinated. Teachers were there to deliver and distribute the cash grant, the $19,000 just the other day, unvaccinated. Teachers are part of workshops, unvaccinated. Teachers were part of the team that were putting the children together to do cultural activities or cultural items. When these well, I can't even call them Shakespeare, these known entities went to the schools to distribute the cash grant, you had to have had a half an hour, 3/4 hour of cultural activity. Unvaccinated teachers taught those children to recite poems and to do dances and bring garlands and throw around their necks and so on. Unvaccinated teachers. But now you're telling teachers that they have to be vaccinated or they can't enter the school compound. You know what? Unvaccinated teachers we're using to go out there. Well, we started using them to go out there to do the fact-finding mission, to gear us for the reopening of school, even though it's quite late, because you notice the time we have today is already the 24th.
Correct.
We're talking about the 6th. Now, if we have to have additional tanks, we have to have any extension to any building, you understand what? It's not going to happen,
Correct. Also, I may have missed it in all that you've outlined, the teachers going above and beyond. But I saw photographs of teachers in villages, in community, walking the street with workbooks to correct work. You understand me? Meeting on the lampposts.
Unvaccinated teachers.
Children unvaccinated, going really and truly above and beyond. And this seems, very analogous to the scorpion and the toad issue. The scorpion asked the toad to take him across the pond. The toad said, "You're going to sting me?" The scorpion said, "No." And by midstream, he clapped a sting in the toad. The toad said, "But you promised you won't sting me." The scorpion said, "But it's in my nature. I can't help myself." That's the PPP. Correct. They can't help themselves. Correct. I saw you put out a very strong statement because it has been building several things are coalescing. It is building the tension in education, in other areas as well, building. And so we have gone past that. Now we saw staff, Coretta, at the Ministry of Education being marched out. You would think this is back in Nazi Germany time. It's just that we ain't got the concentration camps yet. And you wrote on Facebook, in part, "I watched in awe and disgust at the treatment that was meted out to public servants attached to the Ministry of Education. It's a shame that the oppressors who claim to care are the ones dishing out the most inhumane treatment to the citizens of this country. You went on to state that the oppressors who preach democracy have now inflicted the vilest of poison on staff who kept the wheels turning since March 2020. While the calls for the ranks of the why the call for the ranks of the Ghana police force? What was their crime committed? Just standing up for their democratic rights by not having a job?
Yep.
Expand on that for us.
It's a sad state of affair. It's a sad state of affair. And when you look at this girl Priya and the way she smiles when she's ready to talk to parents,
Scorpion.
or you don't even have words to describe what is in her mind. She gives you a smiling face, but deep down in her heart, she's devious. For you to call police ranks to take your staff who's been working there with you, packing those care packages. I saw staff working midnight, packing those care packages, and now you're calling police to escort them, and some of them with handcuffs on their hands. What is the crime that they would have committed? But you know what? It is building up, It is building up.
Yes.
And like I said in that statement, the late Bob Marley said, until the philosophy which holds one race superior than another, we gonna have war.
Yeah.
We gonna have confusion. We gonna have bitterness in this country, because you know what? Many of our sons are hurting. Many mothers are hurting for their sons who were taken out this afternoon in handcuffs.
Yeah.
For nothing at all, just for standing up for your rights.
Yeah.
Many mothers are hurting. Many sisters are hurting. Many children are hurting, because some of those young men, at least two of them, they have children and they have wives. Yeah. And when this blood starts to bubble up and it can't bubble anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, our people will not forget the PPP for what they have done to them from 2020 to now. Just over 1 year, our people will not forget them. It seems as if we are going back to the days of the Shaka Blair and those days. It seems as if we're going to get there. But let me tell you what. Yeah. This time, a long time. Our people will not stand idly by and allow that kind of foolishness to happen. I hear them talk about, the anti-race rally and march in the US. I mean, that thing hurt them bad.
In the core and the spine and the sinews. It's
gonna hurt them more, because let me tell you what, you see those two rallies that we have, those two marches that we have planned for tomorrow, it gonna hurt them bad.
Well, Coretta, you're talking about blood boiling up, and we have MP Devin Sears, who is a part of what is happening tomorrow, and I want to bring him on. But just before I do that, Coretta, give me a minute so I can tell our viewers how they can help us to continue doing what we're doing. Give me a minute, Coretta. Please stay with us. Don't go anywhere at all, Coretta. Stay with us as we welcome MP Devin Sears in just a moment. Folks, we've been talking to you about how you can help our program. We've been expanding. We want to continue to do what we are doing. And so many of you jumped on board as starting last evening, and we are so happy for that. We introduced our Cash App feature last evening, and the handle for the Cash App is, you have the $ in the ring 592, and all we're asking simply is for persons to partner with us on a monthly basis. You can donate as little as $5, $10 US, $15 US, $20 US, any one of those denominations. We're asking you to partner with us on a monthly basis to help keep us going in that manner. We're not asking you for $300 a month, $5 US a month, if that is what you can afford, $10 US a month, if that is what you can afford. You'll see what's happening on the ground here. We want to expand our communication project, what we're doing here in the ring, this whole process. There are some times when you got to jump on a flight and head someplace to get you the credible and valid information. And we want to be able to do that in a very seamless way, expand and build capacity for what we're doing here. The cash handle for the Cash App is, again, the $ in the ring 592. And tonight, we'd like to introduce you also to our PayPal facility. And that is quite the same to the Cash App. It is in the ring 592 at Gmail. You need for those of you who are familiar with the PayPal system, you need a email to be able to send the funds. And the same thing we're asking, some persons are more familiar with the PayPal because I think Cash App is only available in the US and in the UK. The PayPal system goes more international. Again, it's in the ring 592 at gmail.com. And again, we were asking you guys on a monthly basis to partner with us as little as $5 US, $10 US, $15 US, $20 US, and help us to continue doing what we're doing here. And so tomorrow night, I'm going to show you another feature. But for now, we have the Cash App feature. It's the $ in the ring 592. $5 US, $10, $15, $20 on a monthly basis will help us to do wonders for the program. And again, at the PayPal, it's in the ring 592 at gmail.com. That's the PayPal system, in the ring at gmail.com. I want to welcome back Curtis McDonald. Trouble in education. Trouble in education, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome back Curtis McDonald. And as well, I want to welcome MP Devin Sayers, who is joining us from the mining town of Linden. Devin, welcome in the ring.
Thank you so much, Sherrod. Coretta, how are you doing? I haven't seen you guys in a while.
We're here and great to see you as well. Devin, getting right into it. There is one protest happening tomorrow at the Square of the Revolution starting at 9 a.m. And we're asking folks in Georgetown and the allied areas to support that. And as well, you are part of the planning of a protest at Linden. Linden resists dictatorship. No to forced vaccination. And it's a unity march. It's starting at 10 a.m. Persons are being asked to assemble at Five Corners, Mackenzie, Waterwheel, Christiansburg, Bay Rock Junction, and Wismar. Tell us a little bit more about that, because MP McDonald and General Secretary of the Ghan Teachers Union, she said people boiling up. I know that guy boiling up too. And you need an avenue to demonstrate that. And this is a wonderful way to say no to dictatorship and this fraudulent install regime. Talk to us.
All right, good. So Sharon and Coretta and our viewing audience, this thing started all the way about 2 weeks ago when the nurses at the Linden Hospital complex got locked up. They got locked up because they were not vaccinated or had any proof of vaccination. And it even went so far that the doctors, the cleaners, everyone were locked out. And even the patients, there was one instance whereby a patient who got bit by a snake was locked out of the hospital, but because the nurses stood up and the other protesters stood up, that patient got medical attention. Well, then we protested for about 3 days. We blocked the bridge, and then we got the attention of our installed minister, Frank Anthony. And he issued a notice to the workers there that they must get vaccinated within 2 weeks. Well, then that 2 weeks really expires tomorrow. And that really sparked the demonstration that we're going to be having tomorrow. But it's more than just that alone. Everybody in Linden, we're rallied up, because now you're not only messing with the nurses, you're messing with the taxi drivers, the boat conductors, the boat operators, all these folks you're messing with. So now you're trampling on them when it comes to earning a living. So tomorrow's demonstration is going to be a big one. And then we see what is happening in the education system. So the teachers, the GTU, and their members are going to be out there. We have the nurses, the taxi drivers, bus conductors. Everyone is going to be out there tomorrow. And we're encouraging you to be a part of this demonstration. So if you're not in Georgetown, or if you want, Sharon and Coretta, I'm inviting you up to Linden to be a part of our demonstration tomorrow. And we're sending a clear signal to this install regime that we're not going to stand for their nonsense and their dictatorship. This is not slavery time. That ended how much years ago, right? We want to choose. That's our human right to choose whether it is that we want to be vaccinated or not.
Well, Devin, I can tell you though, I there. I never saw a protest with this kind of meaning that I didn't like at all. And again, we're talking about what's been happening in education. I mean, look at the treatment of the staff at the ministry working overtime, the treatment of the teachers. Now they're going after the students, right? And parents got very credible concerns. Folks, let me welcome at this time, stay with us, this is how the big fight starts, you know. Let us
Ting,
welcome
ting, ting, ting.
the Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs, Amanza Walton Desir, to the discussion. Amanza, welcome.
Hey guys, good evening. Hey Coretta, hey Devin.
Well, it's past three now. We
Just
unplugging.
fed up of these jagabats, man. Lord.
Fed up. Fed up. Fed up. So, Amanda, like Devin and Coretta, you've been seeing what's been happening here. You know, the dictatorship, as it were, trying to force these jobs on people, trying to force us. You know, and we went through the gamut of laws, the infractions of those laws, your constitutional rights, to determine what kind of medical help and treatment you get as an individual. Talk to us, Amanda, from your perspective about what you're seeing happening.
Well, look, like my two colleagues said before, the PPP believes that they could operate in full dictatorship mode. And I think Guyanese are about to let them know that it will not happen like that. Um, it is quite disturbing what we are seeing. I think it is an indication that the PPPC installed regime mishandled the pandemic, and having mishandled the response to the pandemic, they are now deciding that they can force Guyanese um, to comply. And it just simply does not work that way. And I think Guyanese have been trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I think people are now fed up and they realize that it will only get worse from here on out. And if they do not stand up and speak out now, then that will be the end of people and their rights and so on. I was so appalled to read the reports of how the education officers were treated. It's unimaginable to me. You know, I I'm at the loss for words, which is rare because like, is this what we are descending into? You gonna handcuff education officers and
Yep.
escort them out of a building?
Yeah.
Like really? Where are we? Where are we in Africa? Where are we exactly? You know, and I think it 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 requires what will happen tomorrow in
Yeah.
Linden at the Square of the Revolution. You know, this is why we have to march. This is exactly why we have to march, Sherrod. Because we've done everything else. We bring a motion in the National Assembly that didn't allow it. We wrote to them asking them to foster a bipartisan approach to this COVID-19 thing. They just it has just turned on fallen on deaf ears. And so now you are leaving teachers with no option. You know, I cannot understand just how disrespectful this government can be. The teachers were there for the grade 6 assessment. They work with the children through CSEC, through the grade 6 assessment, through the mock exams, unvaccinated, but observing the protocols. And now they are villains. The
Yep.
nurses that a few months ago were heroes. And I'm
Yep.
particularly concerned about something. The nurses in Linden. And we'll be talking about this story some more because I've seen some of their pay slips. I've taken home $100 and something in one case and $4,000 in another case because you know why? They dared to protest a disrespectful CEO. And their pay was cut. Frontline healthcare workers in the middle of a pandemic. And because they refused to be disrespected by that minion that the PPPC installed in Linden, their pay was cut. One nurse carried home $100 and something. Another one carried home $4,000.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And let me say this, these were the nurses that were brave enough to speak out. There are a lot of them who this is happening to that don't want to come forward, and I must commend the 2 or 3 who have decided that they will come forward because I keep making the point that if we do not have the facts and the evidence, we can't fight for you. And so those nurses that were bold enough to come and say, look, MP, this is my pay slip. This is what I received.
Yeah.
I commend them. What else can the PPP do to you? They've already cut your salary. You understand? They're already treating you like you are less than human.
Boots on the ground.
So at what point do you decide enough is enough? I keep making the point they can't fire everybody. They can't send home everybody. And so at some point, we are doing our best, but we need the people to understand that unless you give us information, we can't fight a battle. And there's no need to be afraid, because the PPP will do to you what they feel that they want to unless we stop them. Anyhow,
correct.
I come in and I get worked up because it's a lot. I don't know how correct managing what's going on in the education sector because it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a
Sharon, if I may, just to add to what Amanda is saying, just day before yesterday, we saw one of the appraisal forms for the nurses, and it states at the bottom here whether it is that you're COVID-19 vaccinated or not. So I'm wondering, if not being vaccinated affects your appraisal. No, why is that on the form?
And even we could add to that as well, that the nurses, like parents themselves as individual, as parents too, got valid concerns. For instance, the Sputnik V was never approved by the WHO, has not been approved by the WHO. So if you want to inject me with that and I resist and say, no, I'm not taking it, how I am thinking about myself and my health. It is not approved by the WHO, and we cannot lose sight of that.
That's right. That's right.
Apart from that,
what you have said.
Apart from that, Sharon, we have many persons who would have taken their first dose of the Sputnik V, and they're waiting for months and can't get their second dose. And these are the very people who you're making a whole lot of noise about. Now, like I said earlier, the public servants and the teachers and the nurses were the people who were keeping the wheels turning in this country. And now all of a sudden, you don't want this one, you don't want that one because they're not vaccinated. And, it's just disgusting. And like I said in that post, the only word that I can conclude to describe them is that they're a pack of ungrateful wolves. That's what they are. Ungrateful wolves. If the nurses had decided to shut shop, and the teachers and the public servants, where would we have been? And after you would have taken those people all through those months, and the people who are there with you, professional people who are there carrying out their jobs, you're going to put on handcuffs on their hands now? Handcuffs on their hands? Now, once we see it start happening in education, then it's going to trickle down to the others. But Priya, the pompous one, she started it.
Yeah.
But, sometimes I wonder whether this woman got any love for anybody.
Yeah.
She has children,
Yeah.
She has children, she has nieces and nephews.
Interestingly enough, as I said earlier in the broadcast, we saw children being paraded at the Cherry Dragon International Airport to take these jobs. I mean, what a PR stunt. What a PR stunt. And we don't like to bring politicians' children necessarily into the discussion, but I thought it would have been such a powerful message if your own children
so
the jobs.
Because her daughter should be about 12 now because she just wrote the common entrance exams. I would have been happy to see her daughter there as one of the students, ready and raring to go with her job. I would have been happy to see her saying, "Look, we have the CEO's son, we have this person's son or this person's daughter, and we are leading the way." But you're not seeing these people. These children, you're not seeing them in the forefront, but they want to push my child and your child as guinea pigs.
Because some people's children not here. That's the other story.
Parents, let me say to our parents, like the folks would say, Amanza, you're bigger, you got sense. And so our parents are going to do just that. Now, I would want to say to our parents, if school reopens on the 6th of September, according to Preposition Priya, take your children to school, whether they're vaccinated or not.
Yeah.
Take them to school and let the administrators of the school, let them lock your children
Yeah.
out.
Let them take
Take your
them out in
children to school
handcuffs.
and let them lock them out.
Let them take them out to
Let
school with
them lock them
handcuffs.
out.
That
You know,
that that being said, folks,
crazy.
Coretta, Devin, Amanza, you know, in the region, I got my differences with some people, but it seems that they're way ahead of us. Way,
Yes.
way, way ahead of us. Now, let's take Mia Motley in Barbados, for instance. It's like chalk to cheese, Mia to Irfan. I mean, they might be big together, but it's chalk to cheese. Mia consulted with her people over a month, and she
Yep.
said she was doing this. Now, Priya like to talk that she has consulted with stakeholders. We never see this. She had focus groups and all of this that informs her policy. But like this thing is only happening when they got national blackout. We ain't
You
seen
know,
it. That being said, after more than a month talking with our people, guiding our people, and I think the world has recognized Mia as a leader in the Caribbean on COVID-19. Mia has said her cabinet has decided no mandatory vaccination. That's number one. I want y'all to comment on that. And number two, coming out of Trinidad just today. But you know, Rowley didn't play with them to tell them that the Sputnik wasn't approved and the vaccine, but it still ain't approved. Trinidad said just today, by way of press statement, the Ministry of Education wishes to advise that the academic year 2021 to 2022 will begin on Monday, September 6th, 2021, with all students returning to classes virtually. The vaccination uptake by the population, let me get my notes right, including students as well as the overall COVID-19 situation, will be taken into consideration by the Ministry of Health, which will further advise the government and the Ministry of Education on the possible start of face-to-face classes. Physical school is scheduled to resume in the first instance for the 4th and 6th cohort on a date to be announced. So it seems to be chalk to cheese in terms of pulling together education in light of COVID-19. Anyone?
Let me take a quick jab at this here, right? You know, the whole thing about this dictatorship that we have under the PPP is that when they throw these terms, we consulted with who? Most times is the private sector commission, because we know they're a pro-private sector government. And some of the friends they consult, and most times it's happened over a drink or two, right? But the Guyanese people don't want consultation, they want inclusion. And that's what we've been saying to the PPP regime, that people want to be included in the decision making. This is not a dictatorship.
Even not to contradict you, but I don't want us to say they are a pro-private sector government as though we aren't, because we are pro-private sector as well. But the fact is, they got a lot of lackeys, they got a lot of people in the private sector who know nothing about education, who should not be consulting or consulted on education. I just want to stick that in there.
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Evan. Coretta?
No, I just wanted to make that point, right? That we have to include the people. We have to include Guyanese in whatever decision that we're making. And that is what the Prime Minister of Barbados did. And that's what some other presidents and prime ministers are doing as well. But this government is doing things totally different.
Yeah. Agreed.
Amanda
Coretta.
I see Coretta. She seems frozen. So I'll take a jab at it. Look, it just indicates, I think, where we are as a society in terms of leadership. I think when you look at the manner in which Caribbean governments are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, as you say, Sherrod, it's chalk to cheese. They're clearly showing that they have a plan. They're clearly showing that the views and opinions of their people, that they matter. And that is something that is quite missing in the way we operate here. You have a situation where you have the Sputnik V vaccine has not yet been WHO approved. Nobody wants to speak about that, you know? And we cannot shy away from the fact that this is not a political issue. I keep making the point that this is not about politics, and whether it's about PPP or PNC or APN, UAFC, it is not about it. It's simply about what is right and what is wrong. And the PPP is wrong in the manner that they're going about this. They're disregarding people's fundamental rights. They're disregarding the views and opinions of their population. Or they just seem to don't care. I will say
Yeah.
that they're going to push the people of Guyana to a point that this place will descend into chaos. Because people will decide whether they're going to sit down and take bullying or they're going to say that enough is enough. And the way I'm hearing it on the ground is that people are beginning to say that enough is enough. As you have said, we've differed on issues with Prime Minister Motley before in the past, but we cannot not congratulate her stellar leadership in this regard.
Mhm.
Because leadership is leadership. You ain't gonna agree on everything, but you must be man or woman enough to say, you know what, you're right. And in this case, Prime Minister Motley's approach is to be commended. She indicated that if she got to go door to door and convince people and talk to people and provide that information, she's willing to so do, but she's not going to force anybody to put into the body what they don't want. So that is caring government, man. I mean, I want to point to that maybe because she's a woman and so on, but that is beside the point. The
I
point
feel
is,
attacked. I feel attacked, even.
no, but seriously, the point is that leadership is what is required.
Yeah.
And the PPP
Yeah.
is not demonstrating leadership because they do not have the capacity to lead. They believe in dictating, bullying, scaring people into doing what they want. And let me say this, the opposition can talk however we want, we can make representation. At the end of the day, if the people of Guyana do not decide that we will not live in a country where our views and our constitutional rights are not respected, then there is only so much that we can do. Because you hear people say, oh, shut down the country. 31 parliamentarians can go shut down the country.
All are
I mean, I have
involved.
to say it as graphically as that.
All are consumed. Yeah.
You understand? All are involved and all are consumed. And so we have to begin to operate like we understand that as a people. We, as the opposition MPs, we are there.
Yeah.
We are supporting in every way we can.
Mhm.
But this requires all. And let me say something, Coretta. The
Go ahead.
GTU is trying, but I'm not happy with it with the other unions. I'm very unhappy with the unions because there's just continued disrespect of their workers, and they just seem to be,
Mhm.
and they're the legal representatives of the
Yep.
people, not the political representatives. These people pay union dues every month to
Yeah.
have themselves and their interests represented. And
Yeah.
so it is a shame that you have nurses in Linden carrying home $100 and you can't hear nothing from the GPSU that represents. I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a problem with that. If you're gonna hold feet to the fire, hold the AP and UFC feet to the fire, but hold the unions feet to the fire as well, because
Yep.
they have a role to play. Labor is important.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm. Mhm.
Coretta, I want to give you the final word here. I'm going to ask Devin after that to tell us, to remind our viewers about the protest tomorrow. And then I want to let you guys go, and I want to pick Amanda's brains for 2 minutes on the state visit. Coretta.
Yes, Sharon. Just like my colleague said, we are in total madness. And I don't know how this one slipped me, but I need to say this one. Schools are quote unquote going to be reopened in September, on September 6th, according to. But you know what? We had the grade six teachers teaching, preparing their students, their pupils. We had the CSEC teachers preparing their students. But the grade six teachers are going to be given 1 month off, an additional month. So they are
Mhm.
going to be returning to work in October.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know how our schools are going to manage with all of these grade 6 teachers who are going to be off. And so you can understand the kind of craziness that is happening in our system.
Yeah. Some
Because
prayer
you know
friends
what?
that's in grade 6.
Even if we were to take off those grade 6, we still have grades 1 to 6. What happens? Somebody is going to be left in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to be left unattended. And these are the simple issues that the Ministry of Education don't understand. They don't see. I don't know. But you know what? I'm disappointed because we have professionals within the Ministry of Education. We got a CEO, we got a Deputy Chief Administration, we got a Deputy Chief Development, and we got so many ACOs. And I don't understand. I don't know if they're fearful. Maybe they're fearful too, so they can't talk. The other thing that I want to quickly mention is the fact that a Minister of Education, when this Constitution says that no child must be denied education, this Minister of Education is saying to the parents, if your children can be vaccinated, then keep them at home and self-teach them.
Yeah. Homeschool them yourself. Yeah.
In all my walks of life, I've never heard such craziness. And you know what is most disheartening is the fact that all them small parties that we had, you're hearing them now.
Yeah.
You're hearing not one of them, not even
all the guardians. All the guardians sleeping.
I'm wondering, where are the A, B, C, D, E, F, G? I just put in more letters in. Where are
in
those
Texas.
ambassadors?
They're on vacation in Texas. They're on a sabbatical in Texas. Yeah.
You know, you're not hearing from these people. Where are the churches when the fundamental rights of citizens are being trampled upon? Where are the churches?
In the wilderness.
And Amanza spoke about one of the most vibrant union, quote unquote, the GPSU. Where are these people when your members need you? When the citizens of this country need you? But like I said, school bell just ring.
Yeah.
In the morning to call in school. It just ring at break time. It ring for dismissal at 12 o'clock. It ring again to call school in at 1. Then it rings again for, in some instances, for break in the afternoon. And then it rings for dismissal 6 times. And I'm sure I would have heard those bells ringing. One more bell got to ring. One more bell got to ring. And then we'll understand exactly what is happening. People in this country are under a lot of pressure. We just saw the other day where they distribute, and I'm going off a little here, where they distributed the flood relief grants. And you notice what happened? Some people get 3 million, some get 5, some get 10, 15, some get $50,000.
You're not right on target.
And the people who were supposed to get, many of the persons who were supposed to get, did not get. Their names were taken off of list. And this is happening especially in the strongholds of the APNU AFC. But we can deal with it at a later time.
Corrupt scams. And all those things we are marching for tomorrow. Boots on the ground at the Square of the Revolution at 9, and then in Linden at 10. Devin, tell us about Linden.
So just before Devin comes on, I want to say to our teachers in Linden, you are marching tomorrow under the GTU umbrella. You are marching tomorrow under the GTU's umbrella. Our teachers in Georgetown, our nurses in Georgetown, our nurses in Linden, you're marching under your umbrella. So we want to see you come clad in your outfits, in your uniforms, nurses especially, and we want to see you demonstrate. Our teachers are going to be at the Square. Our teachers, I know for sure they're going to be in Linden because we've spoken to them in Linden and Kokwani and Ichuni, and they're on board. And so tomorrow, we can mash this place up. People will understand. The installers will understand. The oppressors will understand that enough is enough.
Talk to us, Devin.
All right, Sharon, the final bell will ring tomorrow. Undoubtedly.
People don't know when first bell ring, but when second bell ring, then you see them.
All right, so just to remind our viewing audience that tomorrow we're going to be in Linden. It's the Linden Unity March. We start at 10 a.m. from the Five Corners, Mackenzie, Christianburg, Waterwheel, also Bear Rock, junction. We're expecting to see all teachers, nurses, parents, drivers, conductors, everybody we want out there tomorrow hitting the streets. We're going as one. We're going as one. So, Cheryl, we got folks coming out from Kokwani, Aichuni, Araima, Rockstone, through the Amerindio villages in Essequibo, Barbies, and Demerara. They're going to be coming out as well. We have a structured program at the Lyndon Martyrs Monument. We're going to be hearing from Apostle Nigel London, former principal Cleveland Thomas, myself, Figueroa, the mayor, the regional chairman. Everybody is going to be out there. And this here is a peaceful protest. And I know the PPP will change the narrative and try to say, look, they're going to block the bridge. No. We're not in that nonsense tomorrow. What we're going out there is standing up against mandatory vaccination. And of course, within it all, we have to highlight a few things. That is discrimination against Afro-Guyanese, particularly in Linden and Region 10. We have seen discrimination when it comes to development. We know that they're planning to bypass Linden at whatever means, and all those things are going to be highlighted. But again, we're standing as one tomorrow with one goal, and that is saying no to forced vaccination. So that is what tomorrow is all about. Sharon, I want to say thank you again. Just remember, for those folks out there, the PPP is trying to affect your earnings. And this here is just a means to control and divide us. But we're saying to you that we must be determined, we must be motivated and organized. And that is what we will portray tomorrow. And we're sending a clear signal, not only to the rest of Guyana from Linden, and we're sending it to the Caribbean and throughout the world. Linden is the cradle of revolutions. And tomorrow a revolution is going to happen, and we're going to set a clear statement that we're standing against dictatorship portrayed by the PPP.
Fantastic. Thanks, Devin. Member of Parliament, Devin Sears, and also Member of Parliament, Coretta McDonald, and she is also the General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union. I know Amanza is spending a couple of minutes with me, but thank you guys for joining. In the rain.
All right, thank you for having us. Take care.
Great. Amanza, good to see you there. Amanza, I just asked you one question. This state visit, Amanza, right? Was there any success to claim from this state visit, or just degrees of failure?
Degrees of failure. Degrees of failure. Look.
I like the deep side. Your spirit is going deep as the river, Langston News.
I had to take a deep breath because, it's just, again, when you think we can descend further into asininity and stupidity, this is where we go. And, I keep making the point that people have to be able to understand when it's not about politics and when it's going to affect me and you, irrespective of which side of the political divide we find ourselves. You know what is missing from Guyana? That we cannot have a space where it is simply about what is in the best interest of Guyanese. You know what concerns me about the visit? I am unclear, and I intend to ask you, Todd, for clarification as to why is it that fisher folk got to be licensed by Suriname to operate in the Quarantine River?
Yeah.
I am a maritime lawyer, and that sends off alarm bells to me.
Yeah. Amanza, as a matter of fact, while that's of a concern to you, Starbuck News editorial today pointed out that the 1001 coming soon things that was in the communique between Suriname and Guyana, the maritime boundary issue was absent from the 1001 coming soon things.
The maritime boundary was settled some time ago by the International Law of the Sea Tribunal. And so that boundary line is there. It's drawn now and it's law. I think Sir Sridhar Ramphal wrote an excellent book, an excellent treatise on this case. I think it's a must read for any international lawyer. But that apart, again, the issue of why Suriname, what are the modalities, you see? Because you get this blanket statement.
But Jack, you're going out to sort of the modalities.
What are the nitty-gritty? No, but this is what further indicates that we are in a deep, deep, deep crisis, Sherrod, because you have a president coming to an installed president as he is, and no finalization of the issues happens. It takes the vice president to go back over there. Something is fundamentally wrong. And this is why I keep cautioning that we have to guard against transactional foreign policy.
And folks, we having some challenge there with Amanda's video. And it says that we were in overtime. As soon as she comes back, we're going to get her final thoughts on that issue. But again, I want to thank Coretta McDonald, General Secretary for the Ghana Teachers Union, also a member of Parliament, and Member of Parliament Devon Sears for joining the program this evening as well. And the thousands of you who showed up in the ring this evening. Folks, remember, we asked for you guys to partner with us on those small amounts on a monthly basis. It's going to help us to do so much that we're challenged for right now and restrained right now to do. We carry the cost of this program out of pocket from this end, and taking us to where we want to go. We're not going to be able to do that by ourselves, and so we're asking you guys to partner with us. And we have said you can do that in several ways. You can do that in several ways, guys. We introduced you guys to our Cash App feature last evening. It's the $ in the ring 592. The $ in the ring 592. For those of you who are in the UK and the US and you use Cash App, $5, $10, $15, $20 on a monthly basis. And we also have our PayPal system. You can do the very same, $5, 10, 15, 20. We're not asking you guys for more than that. We want you guys to be able to meet your other commitments as well while being of a support to us. And let me tell you off the bat, some folks, we have not been doing this in a very structured way, but persons have sent us in the past monies via MoneyGram and Western Union to help cover some of the costs of our program. And so that is available to you as well. And we're not going to tell you how much, because we know that the cost of sending money via Western Union or MoneyGram is even more than $20. And so we're going to leave that totally up to you. But those avenues are available to you as well. And in totality, these are all the options that are available to you. We have our Cash App feature. We also have the PayPal system. We have MoneyGram. We didn't have a chance to talk about that. Not MoneyGram, the MMG, which is the GT&T system. And you can get us there on 627 6963, our usual call-in number for the MMG. And then we have MoneyGram and Western Union. And guys, what you help us do is going to help us to grow our program by leaps and bounds. And that being said, I want to welcome back Amanda Walton Desir to tidy up her thoughts there. She was bounced off. Amanda.
Yes, for some reason. I just got completely bounced off. No, but Sherrod, I think I was warning about the transactional nature of our foreign policy. And this is why we have to have national interests. A national interest that will inform our foreign affairs posture. And it is very obvious to me that we don't.
Yeah.
It's very obvious to me that we don't. And so I'm very interested in this licensing of the I'm very interested in this licensing of the fisher folk by Suriname. I want to see the nitty-gritty of it because like I said, I studied maritime law, and you understand that as the coastal state and as the state of registry, there's certain legal rights and responsibilities, and so it has to be studied.
Yeah.
We have to be careful that we are not signing over our rights. And this is the same administration that was willing to give Venezuela passage to the Essequibo. So,
compliments of Mr. Jack.
You have to watch it. I was concerned that one of the Suriname delegation felt that they were not clear about the reason for their visit. And he said that much, if you recall. And so I suspect that it might have been hurriedly put together to distract from what was happening in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And the fact that the spotlight had been turned on their racism. And let me say this, Sherrod, continues to amaze and amuse me that the PPPC believes that in this time they can attack you for pointing out their racism by calling you racist.
Quite a contradiction.
It don't work no more.
Yeah, yeah,
That's an
yeah,
old strategy. You know, is
yeah,
that listen, the minute you open your mouth to speak about the racism that they practice, they label you a racist as if you are supposed to be
yeah,
scared and afraid to speak about
yeah.
it. The PPP
Amanda,
does
I
not
think,
want to have the conversation about race, Sharon, because it benefits them to keep Guyanese ethnically insecure and in fear.
mhm, mhm, yeah, yeah. Jagdio said to think that we won the election, you would have to be mentally retarded. Up new people, mentally retarded. You see, and it confirms what you're saying, what you're saying there, and you know their tragedy is, and their undoing that's going to cause them to demit office quite shortly is that they're trapped in an analog age of pre 2015. They're trapped
And
in
they,
that age,
and they
trying to relive
believe,
that
and they
experience.
have not come to grips with the fact
Yeah,
that information is readily available.
yeah,
So what they're trying to do now is engage in digital suppression.
yeah,
They're manipulating the you know the manner in which information is disseminated. They are cutting off the people from the hinterland in terms of internet access. All of
correct.
these things which the AP and UFC put in place when they were in
Yeah,
office because we are in the information age. But you
yeah,
are seeing a suppression of information.
yeah,
But it will cost the PPP and their acolytes because people are far more enlightened, people are far more able to access information, and with information you are able to make far more informed decisions.
yeah,
And so I think for them you will find them and their supporters stuck on elections and SOPs and so on and so forth because they want to think that Guyanese are not sensible enough to understand that democracy goes beyond elections, but that democracy is reflected in the way that you govern. And so anytime their backs are against the wall, you find them reverting to nonsense about SOPs and so on, forgetting that they were installed into government on the basis of SORs.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
their arguments hold no weight. But of course, they are so they're like they're very Goebbelsian in their approach. You repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it often, and people will come to think that it is true. But we big now, we got sense. This is not a long time.
This is a long time. Amanda, we are going to let that be the last word. I want to thank you for spending this time. I said to the folks last night, we were getting our money's worth out of this trip. So they were going to see us using some new words and a little accent here and there. And I told them that I invited you on last night, but you said you were jet lagged. And I was jet lagged myself, but still pressing ahead. Thanks for
Yes,
joining us,
for sure.
Amanda.
Keep up the good work. I mean, it's so important to see, and this is why it's important that we continue to visit and to be able to travel, because then is when you are able to have a realistic assessment
Yeah,
of whether your
yeah,
message is getting out. You're
yeah,
able to interact with people
yeah.
to
And sometimes you got
understand
to take the message too. You got to take the
and
message.
listen and took the message. We
Yeah,
took the message to New York to the elected representatives,
yeah,
and their eyes are now on Guyana.
yeah.
If the PPPC governs in the best interest of every Guyanese, they don't have nothing to be afraid of.
Exactly. They won't have to be
That's
worried,
the,
but they know
that's
what they're
the
doing.
bottom
They
line.
know this skullduggery that they're
You
doing. They
understand? So
know what they're doing.
thank you for having me, Sharon.
Thanks for coming in the ring, Amanza Walton, Desire,
Anytime.
Member of Parliament,
Anytime.
Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs. Thanks, Amanza.
Welcome, dearie.
Folks, there you have it. And I want to thank you guys for sticking around in the overtime, joining us here, walking through these many issues, trouble in education, folks. And we're going to be continuing to bringing you details for this and other issues as they arise. And as you leave, guys, we want to advise you to continue to social distance, wear your mask, sanitize, practice all the COVID-19 protocols that are there for your health and for your safety, that of your friends and your loved ones. And I want to encourage you once more to be a part of our expansion. Again, we have started several features here that can interest you. We have a Cash App feature. Again, it's the $ in the ring at 592 if you're using the Cash App to support us. You have the PayPal, which is in the ring 592 at Gmail. In the ring 592 at Gmail. And then we are also available on the GT&T MMG system, and that's our usual number there. It's 627-6963 if you want to support us via that method. And then some folks have been talking to us through the MoneyGram and also through the Western Union transfer system, and we know the challenges there in terms of the cost to send money and the amounts we're asking for. So it's open to you. We're not going to dictate how much you should send. It's open to you. But what we are asking from you, it's small amounts. We want to partner with you guys on a monthly basis to keep what we're doing going. And you heard Amanda say that sometimes you got to go. There are lots of stuff we aren't covering in the outlying areas of this country that we want to cover here in the ring, and some of that will entail us going. And also majorly building capacity. We need an expanded studio area to do in a massive way what we want to do that impacts you, to bring you the credible and valid information always. I want to thank you guys for joining us again here in the ring. Guys, it's a privilege to be here with you every night. We know we went into the overtime just a little bit, but I want to thank you guys for sticking around. It really means a lot to us. And thanks for inviting us into your home, into your personal spaces, on the train ride with you, on the taxi cab ride with you home and to work. Some people are in a bus heading someplace. In most instances, it's to work. Some of you guys are going to come back and watch our program when you come home. It means a lot to us. And we want to sharpen what we do here and expand on it, train it to defeating this installed regime. Thanks for joining us in the ring, guys. Do stay safe. Stay safe.